I call the May 15, 2017 special council meeting to order. Flag salute, Councilor. Thank you. Roll call. Okay, approval of the minutes. There are none. Petitions, communications, citizens' requests. At this time, is there anyone from the audience that would like to come and discuss an item that is not on the agenda? Okay, moving on to reports. Bill, can you meet me over by Patty just for 2 seconds? So last week,
Why is this not going right? Increases the
all right, moving on. We've all met Danielle, our new finance director. Welcome.
Thank you.
Standing committees. City councilors. Yes, Jan.
Well, I spoke quite well that and the top of my school corner. I have the piano. I have something with that volunteered to walk the thing on it. And I would like to have it run musical. I don't care if it gets broken. People like that enjoy.
At one point, I thought we mentioned the library. Is that not an option anymore?
Well, I'd rather have, I thought about it, Cindy and I talked about it, but I would rather have it if that were possible, if it isn't, then
So we can see if we can figure that out. I suppose we gotta chain it up and do all the stuff. The question would be about the
let's
damage.
change it up. It's broken, it's broken. We'll just go and sit down and play. If it means something.
So let's continue this conversation then. Okay.
Is that okay?
Yes. Yeah. The parade. We all set with the parade coming. Good. I know you've met with everybody. All set? All set to go? Memorial Day parade. Buy your tickets downstairs, correct? Kayak and canoe. Take a chance on one of those. My understanding was there was a prom here just this last weekend. Went very well from what I gather.
Yep.
We had 179 kids attend. At 10 o'clock, only 15 left, which I think is a record. It was held at the KC Hall. They were very accommodating to us. You wouldn't have recognized the place after they got it decorated, but it was spectacular. The theme was 7 Wonders of the World.
Wow.
So we had the Great Wall of China. We had the silhouette of the Taj Mahal. We had Stonehenge. We had the Sphinx. And we had the Roman Colosseum.
Wow. Very nice. This was your last year.
Last year, yep. Somebody else is going to step to the plate from now on.
Very nice job.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, so was there anything else? Anybody? Is that it? Okay. City attorney. Special committees, city manager.
Only thing, Public Works, John has his spring cleanup this weekend, Saturday. Anybody around, wants to help out with that? They have it
Supposed to be okay weather, I think. Okay.
So when do we start in town?
Well, they kind of spread them out in different areas, depending on how many people show up. They'll mostly concentrate on the front of the car, but if they get more people, they'll spread folks out where they yes. Well, probably a lot of it.
Okay. Anything else, Bill?
Oh, that's it?
Okay, consent agenda, public hearing, second reading, old business, new business. City council consider approval of an extension of liquor license on premise permit for Old Town Elks Lodge to hold a golf tournament and pig roast be held June 2017 outside of the Elks building in a fenced enclosed area. Councilor Klitsch.
Resolved, the Old Town City Council hereby approves an extension of the liquor license on premise permit for the Old Town Elks Lodge to hold a golf tournament and pig roast to be held June 2017 outside of the Elks building in a fenced enclosed area.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor? Not opposed? 0. Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Not opposed? Okay, that ends the special council meeting. Do we know what that is?
I don't.
Is it stands?
I think they're too close.
Beer, is that too high?
Testing 1, 2, 3. Is mine still on? Testing 1, 2, 3. Well, so they're gonna have to share a microphone up front there.
Then set that one off there and just share that one.
Just share the
Sorry.
one. Okay.
You can't shut that down. You can put it by date.
Okay, I call the
We don't.
May 15, 2017 Committee of the Whole meeting to order. Okay, department head discussions. The committee will meet with all the city departments to discuss the upcoming FY 2017-2018 budget as follows. So we're going to go right down through this. I know Bill has talked to all the department heads. I'm in hopes everybody about 15 minutes each. That would get us out of here at a reasonable time tonight. We know salaries and wages are pretty much what they are. So department heads, we can talk about your revenues and about any other new exciting things that are happening. So we are going to start with sewer. which is 8,000. And I believe we have, Miles, in front of us, we have the revenue, we have the appropriations, we have the proposed budget, and then we have the sewer. Sewer is all by itself.
That's correct.
Is that correct? I guess that's gonna get passed.
Yeah.
Okay,
The
so-
first thing we'd like to talk about is the sewer revenue.
Okay?
And Danielle, Dave, and I sat down to discuss this. As you know, there's already been voted on. There'll be a 5% increase that take place next year. So those have been built into the rates here. The other item that stands right out is the bond revenue of $3,393,000. That ties to the Department 8300 on the third page on capital outlay. If you look down through there, there's a couple really big projects that, and I'm not going to take all of Dave's time, but I just want to explain how this works. So we have a Stillwater project, Elm Street. As you know, most of the Stillwater project's done, but since we didn't spend all the money, it got extended into Elm Street. And that's a USDA grant and loan. And then there's the pump station rebuilds, which are going on. So that 1.743 million and 1,650,000, those two amounts add up to the revenue number of 3,393,000. Now, we all recognize we're not going to spend all that. We've already spent some of it, but we wanted to make the revenues match what we're going to spend. And it will be a significantly lower number. What the final number is, I don't know. But we'll get the bonding and we'll get the grant at the time that those projects are completed. Other than that, that's the one quirky accounting thing that goes on here. Dave, why don't you talk about your budget?
Okay. I don't know, do you guys just want to go right down through it line by line? Or
No, I
want just the
don't think we need to
changes?
do that. I think any, like, major changes
Any
that you're
major
seeing, yeah, that's really the biggest thing.
Okay, there's really not any major changes. The biggest change would be on the capital outlay. We had to budget for $200,000 for the Stillwater Bridge project. I don't know if that's this year or next year, but we're trying to put in a few $100,000 this year and then a few $100,000 next year so that it doesn't hit us all at once.
What's the total of the
The
project?
estimate's around $600,000.
So you're thinking 200,000 the next 3 years, basically?
Yes.
And so what you'll see is every year, remember, we come back to the council and ask for carryovers.
Yes.
We'll carry over the 200, then we'll carry over the 400. And in that last year, there should be 600 in the account to do the project.
To do the project, okay.
Okay. And then another fairly big change was we took out like $81,000 out of the capital outlay on a sewer rate study, headworks pump, and pump station engineering, because we didn't need it anymore.
Oh,
So that come out. And
Dave, would you repeat that again? What did you say?
on the 8,300, line 800, 900, and 915, there was a total of $85,000 that we took out of the budget. It's stuff that was in the past, and all of the engineering costs for the pump stations will be included in the loan in the bond. So we had that actually in there twice.
That was under 8,300, number what? You said 800, 900,
800,
900,
900,
yep, I see it.
and 915.
and 950, okay, so yep, right there. Okay, over 20,000. Everybody see that?
No, I'm.
Right here on on page number 3, under capital outlay.
Okay, I was on page number.
Yeah, page number 3 on the capital outlay, you go down, it's the second and third one. Sewer rate study, headworks pump, and then the next one down is, what is it? Pump station engineering. Yeah,
Okay, gotcha. I had those already, okay, circled.
good.
That's pretty much it. I mean, just a few minor things here and there.
Right, but everything else is what it is. Any questions for David on his budget?
Getting a new truck next year?
Nope. No, that 25,000 in the flusher truck,
Yes.
that's actually another thing. It's
It's a little-
about 3 years ago, we started trying to put $25,000 in a year, because it's like a $200,000 truck, so we're trying to build up.
Capital, gotcha.
Yes.
Yep, good.
And with this 5%, the way you explained it back last year was this was gonna help try to get you in the black, basically.
That's correct. The overall recommendation of the study team was that since we'd gone 12 years without an increase, that we really needed to do about 15%. It'd be 5% for 3 years is the strategy.
All communities these days are really going through the same type of thing we are anyway, aren't we?
Most of them,
The-
most of the communities that are going through what we're going through is what they call the CSO communities that have to do a lot of sewer line work.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
yeah, we're not alone.
Yep.
Any questions from anyone? Good? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Miles, can you move
Thanks,
that?
Dave.
Thank you.
Mike, can you just move that mic closer to you guys? No, closer that way, so when both of you speak into it.
Okay. I feel like
Okay,
I'm-
so that is sewer.
I'm moving.
516. Okay, so we have central services, which would be the two people sitting there.
Central Services, Department of There's not a lot of big changes there.
It's my electronic, personality.
Wow.
She's magnetic, I guess. But there's not a lot of big changes there. Salaries, part-time salaries go up a little bit. One of the reasons for that is some of my salary, I get vacation and stuff, I'm gonna carry into next year a little bit, so that'll force the price, next year's salaries up.
Right.
We had an increase and also there was 5,000 put into additional into part-time salaries to help with training. We have a increase in health, life, and disability, and the reason is some people take family insurance. I didn't take family insurance, and so that's just the luck of the draw. Some departments will go up, some will go down this year because of that.
Right.
Direct relief, we budgeted 15,000 down on line 0903990. Budget for 15,000, but we never really spent that much. We're about 3,100 this year, we were 10,000 a couple of years ago. But we want to budget for 15,000 because we just don't want to come out short of direct relief. I don't know how to address that this time.
Want to switch out with Patty's mic?
It's probably that one.
Or is it Patty's mic that's doing it?
It is, it's because it's on our computer.
Because when you just moved your, the top of that, it helped it out quite a bit. Let's try that. Move that closer to your Miles. Let's see if that.
So,
May I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What is direct relief for?
Direct relief.
it's for people who come in hardship and need help.
General assistance.
Okay, thanks.
So like I said, there's some room there, but I don't really think we want to cut that. What happens anyway, if the money's not spent, it just returns to the general fund next year, so.
Okay.
It used to be a $140,000 budget line.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, anything else under yours, Miles, you want to talk about? And Danielle? You good?
I think we're good.
Any questions for Miles or Danielle? Are we all set with them? Okay, we will move on. Who's next? City clerk.
Actually, I was gonna talk about a couple more departments there.
Okay.
1005, general insurance.
No, the benefits? No,
Then
Next
employee
one.
I'm
benefits
sorry,
and
yep.
debt service. That's
Yep.
fine.
that's fine. Yep, go ahead.
Our general insurance, overall, you see the cost only going up slightly. The amount that's expended in the current year, some items are way up, some are way down. When the bill
It's
came
right
in,
on
it
the
got
other
coded
side.
wrong, and so some of it went into the wrong category, but overall, the total cost is the same, and we need to make an entry to correct that allocation. But the bottom line is, the cost is about the same.
Right.
On employee benefits, Department 1015, the first line item is the HRA, and that's the health reimbursement account. We always budget $1,000 in the HRA. The actual expenditure for the HRA is always much greater. For example, this year, as of March 3rd, is $43,584. Well, the reason for that is when we budget our medical expenses, we charge it to all the departments in the budget. But when the bill actually comes in for the HRA, we don't really know which department is for. So we just put it in this account. Okay. So then that raises the question, well, are we saving money or are we not saving money? Because the HRA is the reimbursement account that we went with a few years ago and switched to a PPO. Well, first it was a PPO 1500, and then we went to the PPO 2500 plan to try to save even more money. So I did a calculation, and based on the old insurance that we were on, the POSC, we're looking at saving $197,000 this budget compared to what we would have been paying. Now, employees would have picked up some of that because the employees paid part of their insurance, but overall, the bill's $197,000 less than what it would have been if we'd stuck with the old insurance. So that's showing us good savings year after year.
Right.
Ah,
Okay.
Workers' compensation, we have 151 in there. I don't remember, Bill, was that, did we talk that needs to be a little higher?
On which account again?
The workers' compensation, 0158.
Looks like it was 151 for quite a while, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure we got a rate increase.
The rate increase went up.
Yeah, and I think,
Okay.
we just
Mhm.
missed it when we updated our numbers. So that number probably needs to go up 35,000. The workers' comp, we've had a few cases that are lingering cases. You basically self-insured, you pay the bill, and so that number probably needs to change a little bit.
Goes right, just to go back to the 151, basically, like we were the years previous.
Well, it's probably gonna go up to 185. or
185.
181. I don't remember the exact number, but it was higher than this.
Okay.
I have a question about workman's comp.
Yeah.
Okay, so workman's comp, does it, I know it means that somebody that's been hurt on the job. However, how long are we committed to workman's comp? Is there a time where where a self-insured talks to the person to settle the claim, or do we have to hold it open for so long to keep paying this person? Like,
It's kind of a case-by-case basis.
it is.
Yeah.
So do we as an organization at times, if it's been going on for a while, try to convince the person to settle, buy them
Well, I
out?
mean, the biggest thing that we always try to do with people is try to bring them in to do light-duty work, no matter what, if it's possible.
Okay.
We had a couple, we've got an older work crew. We've had some incidences in the last couple years where people had heart issues, couldn't come back in for an extended amount of time,
So a hard issue would be considered workman's comp?
depending on however it's classified as. It's all impacted by our experience rating, so, you know, the healthier you are, the lower your workers' comp
Yep,
rating's
I know
gonna
that.
be.
I know
So
that.
we've had some, whether it's, you know, serious illness or sickness can really drive that rate, especially when you don't, you know, we don't have a lot of full-time people here, so it can really impact our rate a lot.
But what you just said with illness, though, I guess, again, I thought workman's comp was injury on the job. Illness is considered, in some cases, workman's comp?
Depending on how much time you're off.
So if someone had a heart attack on the job, that's workers' comp? Is that what you're
Depending
kinda
on,
asking?
You know,
Yeah, well, even illness, I mean, you get sick time, that's sick time, that's not workman's comp.
well,
I mean, that's why I'm
how
just,
it's classified, I guess it's on a case-by-case basis. But yeah, we try to work with folks. If we can get them back, we get them back.
I mean, I'm a prime example. A few years ago, I tore my Achilles tendon. I did it on the job. And I put in a report of accident, because that's what you're supposed to do.
right,
But it wasn't workers' comp, because they said, well, you know, you weren't doing anything unordinary that would cause you to do that. That's just something that might have happened to you anyway, so it wasn't a workers' comp, it was just sick time.
Okay.
So it does work both ways. I can't explain to you why one case might work the
no,
other way.
but you
I-
wouldn't, if it wasn't workman's comp, though, you wouldn't take it out of this account, would
Right.
you?
Right.
No.
I mean, it'd come out of another account as far as sick
It-
time is
It was
concerned.
just sick time, right. In
Okay.
my particular.
But that's what I
instance.
meant.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's what I'm,
Where's
no,
that?
that's much clearer, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so it does work both ways. It just depends on the circumstances.
Okay.
Okay, so employee benefits, anything else on that one, Miles?
I think we're all set there.
Okay, debt service?
On debt service, you know, we have the new road bond that we're going to start paying on, so you see an increase in interest there. Overall, I think, you know, the city's doing okay. The bond payments have, over time, our balances we have outstanding have been coming down, so I don't think there's any news here.
Okay. Right. Any questions for Miles or Danielle on their budgets?
Okay. And we have a few revenue accounts that we'll talk about real quick.
Okay?
Every year, if you get out your revenue sheets, it's double-sided. And the first account I'd like to talk about, RO 140, it's the top of the list. Highway block grant revenue, that's money that we receive from the state that we can use for various purposes. It's remained around $75,000 a year. The motor vehicle excise tax, RO 160, we bumped that up. We budgeted for $1,444,000 this year. I think we're going to be pretty close. So we left it at $1,440,000 for next year. On the boat excise tax, it usually runs around $6,500. We budgeted it again at $6,500. ATV, hunting and fishing fees, a couple $1,000s. So these aren't big items. Let's see if I can find a larger one here. Cable TV franchise fees, we get about $66,000 a year. We did budget for the sale of some tax properties. I don't know how much they're going to be, but I put $25,000 in there. The cemetery fund, we have trust accounts for the cemetery, and we have, over the last several years, we diverted about $15,000 of income out of the trust fund to help offset some of our cost of maintaining the cemeteries. On the next page, RO 645, we have the Juniper Ridge impact fee. We receive $55,000 a year to go towards engineering and other costs for if the city needs to make any plans, if we need any work done to look at what's going on at the Juniper Ridge landfill. And that, while it's 55 a year, that goes into account and accumulates. And so it builds up over time. One thing I will mention, and this will be when Lance talks, when doing this budget, we didn't do any transfers out of any of the reserve funds. What you're seeing is a flat budget. Although we did take $90,000 out of the airport hangar reserve to fund a capital project at the airport. So that's the only hangar reserve that we've touched, and that's for a specific purpose. That's RO 665. Under the grants are R1005. We have $50,000 of grant income for a school officer. And then the really large one, and I'll let John talk about it when it comes to his turn. We also have RO 1090, which is the MDOT MPI program of $187,000, which the state is helping reimburse us on some roads. Road tarring, I believe, is what it is. So that's pretty much the revenue accounts that the treasurer's reports on.
Perfect. Any questions for Miles or Danielle?
I just think it's incredible when you look at the green garbage bags, how much they have.
How much that brings in?
Mm.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
It is.
Comes in and goes out.
Mhm.
Buy 'em.
Yep.
I hope we didn't run over our 15
No, you're
minutes.
right. You're right there. You're right on the edge. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so who do we have next?
City clerk?
City clerk.
You'll notice on my administration budget, it's minimal as far as increases. Mostly it's the wage, the health, life, facility, and retirement. My revenues are roughly about the same.
Okay.
Well, one thing I will mention that affected all the departments is the health insurance went up like 10% this year. It's a huge jump.
So that's
And
going to
we're
be
still
across the board for
We're still
everybody.
saving money, but it was a huge increase.
Okay.
And then retirement went up a little bit as well. And so you'll see increases in those two areas. Sorry to jump in there a bit.
That's okay.
It affects every department.
I only have dental with the city, so that's why it's only.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay. Any questions for Patty on her area? Thank you.
And as far as elections go, there's a reduction of just over 4,600, and that's due to there not being a presidential election this year.
Right.
So I won't need as many employees. So that's the biggest change. I had also budgeted for another machine last year, so you'll see a reduction of $750 because I won't need a vigilant one, so.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you very much. Next person up would be the city manager. So on your, we can just start with you, Bill. On yours, if you don't want, you don't have to go down through every single one. Just go through the big stuff, that any big changes or whatever.
Yeah, and the line, basically everything operationally, my budget was flat. Reduced dues and subscriptions a little bit. Besides that, it's basically flat on the operational side of it.
Okay.
You look at city council, that budget's flat. Been proposing
I
big
would assume
raises
it
for
would
you
be.
this year.
You don't ask for much.
Nope. It's the same every year.
Are we over budgeting for the audit services,
Well,
or is that coming out somewhere else?
on certain years, if you exceed over $500,000 in federal grants, they're required to take another level on the audit. And so I believe last year, they did not exceed it.
Okay.
This year, I believe we did. And so we probably haven't seen the effect of the full bill here.
Okay.
Okay. Legal services, flat funded that again. That was overspent last year, but as you know, we went through the whole
Right.
Xpera.
Yeah, there was a reason
deal.
for it.
So that,
Do you
That
think,
drove
though,
up.
that we might expect some of that again this year? With the programs or the possibility of things happening that we might need to have?
they have 30 days to appeal. Have they reached that yet, Travis? They're close.
First week of June? Okay.
Okay. Just wondering.
So if we had to go back, we could look at that.
Yeah, that's early enough. We could go back at the first or second reading and fix that. Okay.
Economic development's listed under me. I don't know if Ron wants to jump in here for a minute.
It's, I guess, pretty basic and just shows a proposed 2% increase to the overall budget. And it's comprised of marketing materials and contractual service. That's pretty much it.
Is this the one you want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, one thing that we could look at, and I know that the LLC has requested over time, there's been different ways that the council's considered funding their reserve accounts. The city's carried forward money in other contracted services. It's almost $100,000, and that's been in that budget for a number of years. That might be something to consider transferring over into their economic development reserve instead of leaving it in contracted services.
It's just been sitting there, right?
It's been there since the LLC was formed.
Okay.
And that way, if you put it in, it's basically just moving it from this line over into a reserve account. The only danger of leaving it in contracted services is if we don't bring that forward to you, when you don't move that money forward, it could just go into the general fund.
Right. They, was it a good 3 weeks ago, a month ago? Carol, Stan, and myself, Bill, of course. Ron, we met with a couple of LLC members. There was some concern that as far as the funding and stuff, so Bill started thinking about this account that's been out there that I believe they have access right now to over
About 316,000.
316,000. But by knowing that this money's there, by putting that over to them, then that would give them extra money for the concerns that they had going forward, because we made it clear at that meeting that the council's in no position for the next couple of years to do anything. But Bill saw this money that's there, that maybe we could just transfer that over to him. Ron?
Well, if we expended a lot of the full amount that we have budgeted for a number of items within the LLC agenda, within the LLC budget, there'd be very little left.
Right.
I mean, the money would, over the next couple of years, be depleted.
So by moving this, transferring this over to them,
Can you explain again what you, how we come up with that $300,000? Can you explain? It was put in the budget when?
Well, in the They've had reserve accounts. I'm just looking down through here. Old Town Development LLC reserve has $206,019 in it. And then there's an Economic Development Reserve account that has $115,067. Beyond that, beyond that, when they formed the LLC, I think it was in 2007.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and look.
Somewhere around there, yeah.
In contracted services, they'd put extra money in the budget that year. That money didn't get spent starting in that year. The council's that's come forward as a carry forward amount every year, so it's under economic development contracted services. There's $100,000 that's just been carried forward. I just think it'd be a lot better way to isolate that money for the LLC is to put that in that reserve account, because
Okay,
if
so we're just looking at the 115,000 though, correct?
right.
Yes. Yes, because they have several items that they would like to do, and if those do come to fruition, that would take a lot of money out of their account.
Correct.
Yeah. Instead of us trying to find some $100,000 somewhere else, it makes, when Bill saw this there, he said, well, we could just transfer that over, which makes sense to me. That would help out.
Certainly, just going through here, that's just something to consider.
Right.
I mean, we can talk about it.
Okay, so that's,
I did want to mention just a couple of items quickly that didn't get built into my budget, but last year I came to you with the wayfinding proposal. And
the signs.
the signs, and the consensus was that would be something better addressed during the next budget session. So I thought I'd mention it to you again. The total on that was about $34,000 was last year's cost.
34,000.
Install all of those proposed signs. So I'm not suggesting that be built into the economic development budget, but I think, if you're so inclined, that it would probably come out of one of those reserve accounts.
That would take care of, I remember you went through the whole plan. It was gonna take care of Stillwater Avenue coming down through
And the other thing is, we've been talking with Learfield Sports, both Old Town and Orono, about putting together a promotional package for businesses so that they can take advantage of some of the advertising and at the sporting events, game night, that type of thing. So we've met with them numerous times, and the plan that we're thinking about would match business owners up to $500, and we thought we could probably get 10 businesses to participate. So that would be something, another item that might be in the neighborhood of $5,000.
How does that work? Do we put banners up at different events, or?
Well, there's a whole range of options that a business can tap into. I mean, it might be advertising on the marquee. It can be radio advertising. There's a long list, and I'll assemble that and provide the information to the council members.
this is to the university events.
Yes.
Yes.
What we'd really like to do is bring the games back to the Alphons, but I don't think that's going to happen. But
The basketball, yeah. It's a whole other discussion going on. So just those two things then, 34,000 for the signs and 5,000 for the Learfield. And that's not in here now though, correct? Correct. Okay. Okay, any questions for Ron? Bill on this one? I think it's Patty's.
Is that Mike?
You can just unplug yours.
It's electrical interference.
There we go. Okay.
Well, if it does,
Okay.
again, we're gonna be really in.
So, any of the others, the IT, Juniper Ridge, capital equipment, or school, anything you want to talk about there?
Yeah, IT services is flat. Juniper Ridge landfill is basically the impact fee that we get, the $55,000 annually. What we used a pretty good chunk of that at the state Juniper Ridge landfill expansion hearing. They're still got to come back locally for that. Capital reserve equipment tech is basically on 7,100. Same thing we have for heavy equipment. We've been putting money away each year. Same amount of money, didn't ask for anything more on that. School department went down about $130,000 this year. Biggest change on that was applied for sudden and severe.
Talking that closer.
Sudden and severe, can you hear?
Hear that? Something, still somebody's got some.
Yeah, it's some missing feedback. Maybe that's putting the budget in your system.
I don't hear any feedback
There we
now.
go. That's
There we go.
perfect. That's perfect. Okay.
You want me to start? Want me to start over again?
Oh, no. No. School went down, you said school went down.
Went down about 130,000 due to sudden and severe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It is yours.
It is yours.
What's your name tag? It's gonna fall off there. Okay, so any questions for Bill on any of this? Is there is? Thank you, sir.
We have a few,
Oh, so-
we have a few revenue accounts.
Okay. I keep forgetting the revenue.
Bill usually reports on the JRL tipping fee, RO 644. It's on the back page.
Yeah, and looking at that, we increased that this year, just annualizing it out over a 12-month period. Looking at what we got last year, and I talked with them this year on what they believe they're going to have. The amount of monthly input looks like $82,000 to $84,000 or so a month.
Okay.
And then RO 655, the TIF project financing. That's the district TIF that.
Yep. It's a Stillwater,
Stillwater
Breeze,
TIF, yeah.
and Old Town Canoe TIF
What's that
districts.
number again?
RO 655.
655. Part of that we give back to Old Town Canoe. The Stillwater TIF all comes through to the city, and there's portions of the rest of it that are administrative. It's about $172,000 that the city will be able to spend in our budget towards economic development. Part of that can pay for the bond as it did last year, so that can offset some cost.
Okay.
Those are the major ones.
That's good. Perfect. Okay, we are moving on to code enforcement. David Russell. Is he, am I missing, where's the airport?
Yeah,
Where is it?
right here.
I got the airport further down.
It's not in order of the book.
No.
Oh, so it's Dave Russell first.
Yeah.
Yeah, David, you're first.
Airport's
Don't go
not
by the book.
required.
We're going by the agenda.
I didn't.
I had to mix it up a little bit this year.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Good try.
Very good. So code enforcement, we have 1400, 1410, and 1415. So anything out of there that's major you want to?
1,400, I reduced my travel expenses by 500, but I did add monies in for training and materials because the state's going to be adopting all the new energy codes building codes. And it's about $1,500 to cover the buying
Cover that.
those.
Yep.
That was it for that one, and the other two are flat.
To a flat. Any questions for David? Nice job again on the FEMA.
And then when
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
when I look at this revenue, most of them are fairly flat, so I don't know that we need to go through them in detail.
I think everything I read was flat on most
It
of his.
is.
Yeah. Although on the FEMA, it had nothing there, which I was surprised. Thought there might be a payoff, but okay. All right, so we are moving on to tax assessor, 1,500, 1,515, 7,310, and 8,000. So anything out of that, Travis, anything big and new major out of this?
Nothing major. The only changes in my operational budget is adjustment to training and travel due to license requirement changes at the state level. And,
Yep.
classes not being offered locally, so
Classes are what?
not offered locally.
Move that closer to you so we can hear. Yep.
You have to travel and stay because they're only offered in like Portland South or New Hampshire type classes once a year.
Gotcha.
This again for the new license, you said?
Yes, there's a new licensing system for certified man assessors.
Oh, gotcha, okay.
That's the only change other than benefits on 1,500, 1,515. There are no changes. That budget's very small, and it's only there in case we have to have a local hearing. It hasn't been used in my time here.
Oh, okay.
8,000 county tax it's a tax bill. So our county tax bill went up about $3,000. So that's a bill we received from them. It's like as an assessment, so.
Not much we can do about
What we
that.
do about that one?
Is that because of the building there, or the new jail they wanna?
I have no idea. It usually goes up more than $3,000 a Yeah, year. So
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is
flattened out
small.
because they use our state valuation, so actually next year,
Probably
again,
it's worse?
sudden and severe will impact that, so it'll probably go down some.
Okay, because
Yeah.
I'm wondering, I was thinking probably all the communities are gonna take a.
I don't think so. I think they've got that built in. I don't think we're gonna get hit with that.
Putting in a jail.
Well, they need
Somebody's gotta
to.
pay
Well, yeah, but
Someone's gotta
it's
pay
just
for it.
like, yeah, but we do,
Right.
budgeting, and, yeah. I don't think but I don't think we're gonna get hit really hard with it. We'll see.
I think if you wanted to ask the county,
Excise, yeah.
county that, they'd be able to answer it.
Yeah. Yeah. But, we'll see some of it, but I don't think it's
They're
anywhere.
burdened on the state law dictates how much they can raise your taxes
Yes, I
to
did
pay
know
for
that.
jails.
Yeah,
So
okay.
they,
Make sure we're talking close to the mic so they
they're
can
not
hear
allowed
us.
to raise the taxes only a certain percent, so they look at, I
What number is that
believe,
one, Miles?
Yeah, I think,
500?
yeah.
cover that expense.
That's what I understand too, is that,
Miles, any revenues for Travis? Everything's a flat, or what do we got?
He's got them here.
Yep, if you look at right near the top of the first page, R0150, it's the JRL pilot, it's payment in lieu of taxes. That's based on the income approach and how long they feel before they're going to be full, and because of the new expansion coming, that's adjusted this year. We're actually getting about $82,000 more this year in that pilot. So
okay.
we've confirmed that number with them. R0500, about 2/3 of the way down, state municipal revenue sharing, went up about $62,000. And again, that's a direct result of the sudden and severe that Bill and I worked on with the state, because it reduces our overall state valuation due to the loss. So.
Okay.
And there are a few other little ones like airplane excise tax, but real small amounts.
Right.
And we already talked about TIF. Yep. Yep.
Good?
Yep.
Any questions for Travis? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
555. Next one up is library, 5,500. Cindy. Good evening.
So the biggest change, I think, in my budget is that we added a contracted services line item. I'd never had that before. And so we put that in. We needed additional, like, snow removal. And
Oh, is that what it's for, the
yeah,
it's for snow removal?
So we're utilizing the company that does our gardening and landscaping to
Okay.
do that. We kind of have a different situation with the 3 different entrances and, Bill-
Page 33.
Yeah.
So that, who,
I asked her to put that in. It's been difficult since previously we had full-time janitorial. There was somebody there to take care of that. There's 3 different entrances because you have the one off in Brunswick, one off in Middle Street, well, 2 off in Middle Street. So essentially what would happen is you get going in a bigger storm, downtown, you got Public Works who can come through here with a Bobcat, drive up the sidewalk. They've cleaned off these entrances, and this entrance is heated, and there's no issue. You get up there, you're gonna have to get somebody out of a truck. They're gonna stop plowing roads or parking lots to clean off sidewalks and entranceways. So I asked her to go out and get an estimate on what it would cost to have that done.
and we're open on Saturdays.
oh, yeah, to
too,
me, it's a
so-
safety concern that has to be
It is.
taken care of, so people don't
Yes.
slip and fall.
Yep.
So that, you did
So-
the 3 quotes or whatever it was, or?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's really the biggest change. I've reduced in some areas, but then added it in other areas. But that contracted services is the largest change.
Largest change.
And revenues, they're kind of similar
Are they?
to what they've been. I have, R0322.
Okay.
R0324. And then our non-resident fees are broken up into 2 different places. There's R0509, which is just regular non-resident fees. And then on the other side, we have the Milford non-resident fees. And we kind of have an agreement with Milford. They provide a voucher. We do a voucher system so that households in Milford actually pays for a household to have a card if they
Oh.
request it, if someone in the household requests
nice.
it.
Have you always done that?
Long ago, when I first came here, Milford paid per capita. They paid a flat fee per capita.
Oh.
And then they wanted to stop doing that, and so we kind of developed the voucher system. So they were willing to, because it was quite a savings for them
Oh, I bet.
to go through and do that.
It's a great idea.
I think there were several communities that were doing that at the time when it first came out, wasn't there? When you first came
Well, the Penobscot Nation will pay for, occasionally they'll pay for elderly
here? Yeah.
individuals. Yeah, I don't know if.
Bradley
I think
doesn't do it?
we've always wanted to try to get Bradley to
Right.
participate, but
But now, well, isn't there a stipulation where they're part of the RSU though?
Oh.
no, well, what we do is the kids that attend a physical school in Old Town get a card for free. But it isn't just a blanket RSU.
Okay.
Hmm.
For anybody in the town, it's just for the kids that actually come into school in Old Town.
Right.
Or it's school choice, gotcha.
Right,
Nice.
so.
Participation, everything's still good there? Numbers are going good?
Very good. I was looking at some of the numbers from the 2016 annual report, and we're above average in a lot of different things, areas,
Great.
in our programming, our number of visits, our circulation. So, yeah, we're
I know whenever
very
I-
busy.
Whenever I drive by after 4 o'clock, it seems very busy there.
Yeah, we had over 78,000.
That's gotta be the busiest time, like 4 to 6, something like that, maybe?
It is a very busy time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're averaging between 5,000 and 6,000 visits a month,
Wow,
so it's pretty good.
that's great.
Yep, we're very happy.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Any,
Lunch has increased too, hasn't it?
Yes, we have Tuesday Forum Luncheon, and that has moved from, 35 to, we'll be serving 50 probably tomorrow.
wow,
So that's going very well.
Very nice.
And, yoga class, and there's just an awful lot. That's one thing that we've seen a great increase in is the programming and the number of people coming to the library. The circulation stats are good, but, it isn't just materials
Right.
that people are borrowing. They're there to do things.
That seems to be what libraries are turning into now, is
Yep.
more than just books.
Yes. Oh, yeah, far more than that.
Yeah.
Far more than that. But
Good.
one of the statistics I was looking at that I was really kind of impressed with was our holdings are not necessarily above average, meaning what we have in-house, the materials that we have, but the actual circulation of what we have is above average. So what we have is circulating, and I guess what that means to me is what we're purchasing
Is working.
Right, right. And we've always been very, very good about weeding our collection. So we may be kind of average or below average on that, numbers of books. But we're making space for people to come and spend time, and so it all seems to be working well.
Good.
So,
Very nice. Miles, any other revenues we want
I think we covered it there.
to? Good?
Yep. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Cindy. Appreciate it. Okay, so we are now moving on to, which one is it? Airport. Lance, there. Lance says 1,300. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Not much for changes on this year's, other than the capital outlay. We put the request in for,
Let me just, what page is this on? I gotta jump back, right? 12?
Yep.
Sorry, go ahead, sir.
no, like I said, we've requested money out of the hangar reserve fund for a couple of projects this summer. One being the old Sewell Green hangar.
Yes.
Needs to have a floor put in it. So that's our request. Other than that, not much else has changed.
Okay. And you're saying that's gonna come out of reserve?
Yes.
And contractual services, that's down a little bit.
That's our plowing contract for $47,000.
Oh,
for
it
this
dropped,
year.
because it dropped down, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yep. Okay.
Then on our revenues, we have RO 422 and RO 424. Our hangars, our fuel.
How are those doing?
Good. This year, we actually had an increase of fuel sales up until the mid-April, until hopefully the weather turns.
Right.
But yeah, we were doing real well. We've had probably 1,000 gallons sold in the last month and a half. Just bad weather, nobody's flying.
Yeah.
So
That's
It
hitting, I
hurts.
think the weather's hitting everybody.
Did you say it was RO 424 and RO 422? Is that correct?
2 and 424.
424, that's what I meant to say, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Hangar rentals, 424, yep, 422. Where are we at with the, is there still any discussions going on with the restaurant thing there? Nothing
Done.
at
Done
this
for
point?
now. It's done for now.
Done for now.
We're not pursuing it at this point.
Okay. All right, any questions for Lance on the
All the hangars rented?
We're 100% occupied, yes. Yeah, next year.
That's your plan next year?
Next year, we've, because of the money we receive each year, the $150,000 from the
Right.
FAA, it takes us 4 years to accumulate enough money to run the project with our portion. And we're proposing to do a 6-bay hangar at $600,000 plus.
Wow.
So we'll have the money in the fund for that.
And there's plenty of people that will rent.
Yes.
Yep. That's great.
There's a huge demand for hangar space, but they're just expensive to build.
Right.
Yeah.
So business is good out there.
How's the float plane? Is that going on?
Not yet. We'll put the docks in the water probably at the end of this month. The water's still too high.
The Does that get a lot of use?
A fair amount. I mean, for the area, we have 4 tenants that stay down there throughout the season, and then we have traffic coming in and out for fuel sales.
Perfect.
Good.
Any questions? Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, next department, Public Works. 4,000, 4,020, 5035, 7,300, 5010. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. I went home and changed my shirt to wear the blue ones so we match.
Guys are kind of clashing.
It's been a pleasure working with you.
Thank you.
What page are we on here?
Start with 4,000, or are we doing revenue first?
Yeah.
27.
Page 27. Start with your 4,000, like I said, in any of those items, 4,020, 5,035, just your big changes in all those.
Big changes were in contracted services. There's a lot of contracted services across the board in 4,000, everything from cutting trees to stormwater management, which is a big one.
That's
New-
that's 0299, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Auto parts and tires increased, but we actually moved money from our diesel fuel and heating and diesel fuel 385 and moved money up to 310. Obviously, with a large aging fleet, it's a lot of money in parts.
Right.
The next really large one was 341, which had a 0 budget, and that's gravel road maintenance. That we really didn't have. We were doing gravel road maintenance out of operational dollars or getting it wherever we could, but that's more of a funded program. So I wouldn't anticipate that we'd see that kind of money on an annual basis, but expectations have changed a bit on
Right.
gravel roads across the inventory.
This is for all gravel
All
roads.
gravel roads, not just one.
And what's the other one? Looks like it's up the...
Road salt.
Road salt.
That just reflects our historical annual tonnage use.
Okay.
So we had an adjustment last year down, but we're back to where we've been year after year.
Right.
So
And heating diesel fuel?
385.
that one, we moved up. We moved money to 310. That 385 went down,
385 went down, but you moved it to...
310 went up.
310, okay. Gotcha, that's where, okay. That offsets that one. Okay.
That's it for 4,000.
Any questions on that one for John? Thank you, sir.
4020 is a transfer station. That one's getting simplified more and more all the time. Obviously, we're tipping fees. That's just based on tonnage. We played a perk with the contractual change in 2018. Tried to make adjustments for where we thought the fees were going to be and where the tonnage was. So it actually looked like it might come down. Contracted services is collection of both recycle and stuff at the end of your driveway and any licensing, engineering for licensing and so forth. That's about all we spend on that account now.
Huh. Not much there.
Any questions on that?
No, sir.
Where we at now? 5035? Well, there wasn't a whole lot of change other than contracted services. Again, that's, this covers all the buildings across the city's inventory of facilities. Everything from elevator inspection and repairs to, you name it. It's across the board.
So based on heating fuel, you move that up to contracted services? Is that
Say
right?
that again?
On the,
Oh, the heating fuel reduction?
yes.
Well, that was based on the switch to, well, it's on history. The switch to natural gas
Gotcha.
and the usage. So we may be rolling the dice a little bit there, but it's what history shows.
Right.
The contracted services, you know, the reason for the increases, we tried to have it match closer to what actually is being spent.
Okay. I just didn't know if you moved one to the other, that's all.
Not in this case.
Okay. Good?
Any questions on that?
When you say all buildings, including the old community building up at Herbert Sargent?
A certain portion of that, yeah. Mechanical systems and exterior. And fire suppression, monitoring, and, yeah. None of the day-to-day maintenance, no janitorial supplies.
Major roof repair?
That, yes. If it was a major roof repair, we'd probably be looking at 7,300 in capital buildings. But if it was a roof repair, a cut in the roof, it would be here. Yep.
Okay.
Or under 262, building maintenance and repairs. That's just a 2% increase across the board, but those dollars are spread out across all buildings.
Okay.
So still any thought that we're going to sell that building or get rid of that one building as far as the rec's done?
The rec's still there.
Yeah. Rec's still there, right?
Yeah. So what do you mean about selling the building?
Well, I thought they-
Oh, you mean to that group?
Right, so it's not our building. It's their building, they take care of it.
No.
Were
I
there,
don't think we have that ability.
No. We own it, we're the landlord.
Oh, I know.
no, but what
I
she's
know.
suggesting is that if we
We're still
wanted
spending
to-
money there.
I know.
Right, but if we wanted to sell it, what are the restrictions on that? I know that we've talked about this and I
Well,
keep
I've-
forgetting.
Discussed at the university. I mean, I don't think those restrictions, 20 years ago, they probably would have said something about it. Now, with the way they're trying to downsize on everything that they own, that's one of the requests that I have in is to remove those deed restrictions off there. So if whatever direction the city wanted to go, it's our building to do with it as we
If
wish.
we want to. Okay.
Just a thought.
No, I think that's discussion we should have at some point. Okay.
Any other questions on that?
No, thank you.
7,300, that's the next one I got on my list, building reserve.
Yep, building
That is
reserve.
the heavy stuff. That is a major mechanical unit, a roof, a boiler, more durable than maintenance. And that number's fairly arbitrary.
Are our buildings and things that are in our buildings in fairly good condition?
Wow, that's a loaded question to ask me.
Remember, I limited to
Check-
15 minutes, remember? I said
Check any
15
number
minutes.
of reports that have been generated over the years. No, they're not. No, typically not. I mean, we're still functioning and they're, but we're managing decline. That's all I can tell you. We're managing decline.
What is the newest building? Would it be this building?
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then,
at least the newest renovation,
It would be across the street, wouldn't it, with the
Or-
trucks?
public safety?
Public safety?
renovation.
And
Yeah,
then
with
probably the library.
renovations.
Yeah.
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 That doesn't, because it was renovated, doesn't mean that it was done well. So,
Right.
Oh.
that's where there's a lot of building maintenance involved and a lot of capital building stuff as well.
And then probably
Public
after that,
Works was
probably the
built in
library.
69, I think.
Right, you don't have to, I
Yeah,
know that.
they're all-
You don't have to say one word about that. Okay, just thought I'd ask.
What do we say?
I'm
What's
just
the
a
next
builder,
one?
what do I know?
Park
Park maintenance. Where's that one at?
5010.
5010.
Thank you. So glad you did that.
31, oh, wait a minute. Park maintenance. This covers, this is where all the part-time labor is that does all the mowing, takes care of all of our 5 cemeteries. That's pretty much flat across the board with the exception of the bike path. I was looking for a grand bike path that runs along 4th Street. We're always trying to do a little improvement, and we've been doing it with in-house stuff, but I'd like to, put a bench out there. So I need to purchase some stuff, so I was looking for money beyond operational. Other than that, it's flat.
Yeah, you really.
So is revenues, or what's the?
Revenues. So, dump permits were, I'll do it in the order that I know. I
Fine.
work from the spreadsheet, so I have a different
Fine.
number system, but, RO 290 was dump permits. That's based on resident, commercial, and non-resident sales. Since we've switched to, you've noticed you used to get a new sticker at the beginning of July and it ran out June 30th. We've now make them like an inspection sticker for your car. You purchase it for a 12-month period. So we have seen the quantity go up. So it looks like sales have increased a bit, and people seem to like it much better anyways. It's a little more difficult to predict how much we're going to earn in the first year because folks are just getting used to it. But we've seen an increase in sales.
So you mean so when mine comes up here at the end of June, it's a whole different look?
You should have had one of the punched already, didn't you?
I don't know.
Someone
Thanks.
bought it,
There
so
was,
it's good for
this is
Oh,
the second year, whatever,
Okay.
you'll see whatever month it is punched in that year, you'll go downstairs and get a new one of a different color.
Okay. They keep letting me in, so I guess I'm all right.
I can change that for you.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will.
Tipping fees,
Yeah, where's
617.
617? Oh, yeah, 617. Tipping fees is based on the amount of tonnage delivered. Again, I looked at historical numbers as far as deliveries, monthly deliveries of the tonnage to PERC and how much we bill for commercial tonnage on the way back, so that's a larger one. Pay-as-you, RO 627, pay-as-you-throw bag sales. That one is based on 20 pounds per bag. You can manipulate the formula any way you want, but we assume that most bags are about 20 pounds each, which should make it about 122,000. And MRC rebate, this is RO 640. That's where we get back from PERC. We won't be seeing that again
No.
after this year, but
Well,
Then your largest one is that MDOT.
oh yeah, the MDOT, the last one. The MPI is for, I think I've explained that project before. Essentially, it's almost all of Maine and from the corner here, Center Street, out to the canoe shop,
that's when we
with the exception between Stillwater Ave and 4th Street. That was overlaid last year, the year before.
that's the thing we approved already, right?
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So capital projects comes last, and you'll find that this is reimbursement for half of the dollars that we have in the capital projects.
Oh, okay, yep, okay.
One thing that we're watching on that, if you watch on the news, the governor's kind of been messing around with the transportation bond. So those dollars are wrapped up in that. So we've been having discussions back and forth with MDOT of what do we do if we go ahead and pave this and then you don't pay
I can
us?
give it to you right here.
Yeah. What are they saying?
I don't want to say they're saying sue us, but that's kind of the way the conversation's going.
Yeah, the street
Um,
paving, the sidewalk.
Yeah.
I-
We can
you
talk
know,
about that.
Right, it's not their fault.
I know,
No.
well.
Huh.
But that's an interesting situation we're trying to monitor here, so.
The contract spells out what the risk is like, so that, obviously, that's where we're at. It's a tough position to be in, because like the approval process, if we don't move forward
Right.
and repair it at this particular stage, you're gonna go into the next phase of repair, which is deeper and
It
more
was
money.
deeper and it was gonna cost us the whole thing anyways.
The DOT engineer was optimistic, but he's like I am. He waits till the vote is cast.
Right, right.
Capital projects is the last thing on the list, but actually John has some items on the capital projects that we're gonna have him talk about while he's up here.
That's fine.
Sidewalks, again, this is like the buildings, I'm always managing a state of decline, infrastructure-wise, so I just ask for as much as I can get. It never goes enough, but sidewalks, this 30 grand is for Elm Street, and street paving includes the 387,000 for the MPI, I think it was 387, and then Gray's Lane was another one we had proposed to pave, because Gray's Lane was paved. It used to look like it was paved, but there's only remnants of that left. I can't even patch it anymore.
Where's Gray's Lane?
Over on the island. It's a dead end.
Okay.
It's on the left. It's a real short one.
I know which one you mean now.
Real narrow and really short.
Very
Yeah.
narrow.
I think that's it for me on capital projects. I'll always take more money for capital projects, so sidewalks and roads.
The sidewalks, especially on Elm Street, where it's totally demolished.
Yeah, that was part of that whole plan when they
Sorta
did the sewer.
Obligated to,
Exactly, yeah. You don't have to look far, though, to find them in rough shape. And I've been trying to find other sources of grant money or whatever. There's just very little out there. There's one program through the state, but with 2.3 million in money for bike paths and sidewalks and over 7 million in requests. And they're not funding them for the next 2 years. So you gotta get in line now. There's nothing out there.
And you know the list that you're gonna do as far as paving, with streets and all that?
Well, just the MPI project and Gray's Lane's the only thing.
That's it, so nothing else in the city? Okay. Any questions for John?
Thanks, John.
Thank you. Police Department. We have 3,000, 3,001, 3,005, 3,020. Chief Wilcox.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Very nice tie.
Thank you. My wife picked it out.
I know, that's what I say. Kind of like it.
I'll see how much you like it when we're done. Okay. Let's jump right into our overtime salary line. You'll see an increase of that of $19,000. We went from $90,000 this year. We're going to come in right around $109,000, if that is correct. And that would be a true reflection of what overtime looks like. The way the overtime is broken down right now, we've broken it down into several areas, and I can tell you what those areas are, and then I could give you a number of hours associated to those areas. So for unscheduled overtime, which would be for people that hold over for reports that are needed for the DA's office and for search warrants, we bill out about 436 and a half hours a year. Overtime for training to fill back shifts is 403 hours. Overtime for vacation and sick is 287 hours. Our open shifts due to open patrol positions last year was 1,418 hours because we've been pretty shorthanded for a couple of years. Our search warrant training for our team is 158 hours. For court proceedings is 158 hours. Outside details for football games or like Riverfest, some of those details are reimbursed, some of those are not. That's 104 hours. Highway safety grants, which we receive grant monies for, is 106 hours. In-house training is 499 hours. And our K-9 and K-9 maintenance is 157 and a half hours. So when you total those up, that's 3,727 approximate hours of overtime that we bill out in the police department. So that's where that line item is at. You'll see the part-time salaries. We've wiped that 3,000 out of the budget. Today, with liability and where we're at for professional policing, we're not going to invest in part-time employees for that. Our training and materials, you'll see that has increased too, and we're looking at a $15,000 increase in that. We have a very young police department, and with that comes training and liability. The other thing that we're looking at doing with our training this year is, as you've noticed, we have a meth lab problem. Maine Drug Enforcement is extremely busy with meth labs, and we're looking at offsetting some training so that our folks can deal with that. The only thing that we can't deal with right now is the cleanup and takeaway. That's the only part that we can't do. If we get people to training for cleanup and takeaway and purchase the equipment to help take and clean up and take away, we're going to be able to deal with those in a much more efficient and effective manner. And that's probably a executive session discussion at some point to discuss how that works.
well, I would think that would be a larger liability issue on us for us too, correct? I mean, I know you're gonna be trained, but
There may be an offset liability that we can, that it will offset liability if we continue to do business the way that we're doing it.
are we at, do you have all of the full-time people hired? That is, it is, okay.
We're full staff right now, so we just hired Marcus Downs. Marcus is at phase 2 for the academy for training standards. So when he comes back to us at the end of next week, he'll start his 420 hours of field training. He'll go to the academy in August, where he'll do 720 hours and come back out. So he'll be good for us after Christmas. He'll be back out and onto the road after Christmas. At that point, we'd be full staffed, people out on their own. Knock on something.
Thank you.
Sure. Uniform and maintenance request. Where am I at?
266.
Did we increase that? Is that the one I'm looking at? Yeah, so that is, I'm sorry, uniform and maintenance, that is a contractual agreement that we have with the union that on Article 20, check that, Article 32 under uniform maintenance, it will show that the employer must maintain tailoring, dry cleaning, and laundering of all uniforms. We've seen a huge upswing with new employees of people taking advantage of the dry cleaning at Gold Star Cleaning, so that is a contractual agreement. We're slotted to come in right just below $3,000 this year, so we increased that to a $3,000, up $2,200 to $3,000 next year in that budget. That's a contractual agreement. You'll see that we've cut gas and oil. We cut that by $12,000. Then you're going to see an increase in clothing allowance of $14,000. That's still a one-time big purchase request. And what that request is for dress uniforms for the police department. Breaks down to just over $800 per uniform for employee. It is a one-time purchase, big purchase. This is set to go around. I have pictures of those if anybody wants to see them. But this is set for special occasions in which we don't have. We're running a very professional police department at this point in time. And this is for graduations, funerals, and Riverfest. And they're looking to put together a honor guard here as well. So it is a one-time purchase of a large purchase. Those uniforms can be tailored and passed down if people were to move on. And that would be a $14,000 budget item that would come out of that line item next year. And then you'll see automotive and equipment at $1,200 basically just got folded into other capital equipment needs. It was cut, if I'm correct on that. And that is all I have for the 3,000.
Any questions on the 3,000?
Is there a way to use that, I understand as far as the uniforms, as far as, dress uniforms, I understand that. But is there a way to implement that in stages instead of getting it all at once, or?
You could, you just would, you'd outfit half a department and the other half of the department, so not everybody would have a dress uniform, so it would just, some people would go to an event in a dress uniform, other people's would go not in a dress uniform, so. Sure, yeah.
Okay, so what else we got 3,001, 3,005, and 3020. Anything big and different in those ones?
On the 3001 department, we just had one officer in there, and we rolled her up into the 3000 department. She was no longer just on detail for that.
Oh, right, okay, yes. So we don't have anybody doing that now?
No.
Okay. Communications and street lighting, anything big in that, Chief?
Communications, we cut 1,300 out of that. And then street lights, we've added some street lights, so we've increased that budget line by $2,000, so went from 87,000 to 89,000 on street lights.
Actually added streetlights?
We added street lights. We've added some street lights up on the airport road, headed up to the airport on that dark corner. Yeah.
No comment.
No comment.
No comment. Inside joke.
Inside.
I don't know that I would cut any.
So this is for all the lights in the city?
That's for all
That's
the street lights in the city, that's
streetlights.
correct. Yeah.
Okay. Any questions for the chief on that stuff?
Which revenues?
Anything there?
I do right there.
Yeah, how about your
Pretty flat.
revenue?
So revenues on, so we'll start with gun permits is one of the first ones that I have.
Is that let me, I can't, where is that one?
287.
287.
Did that go down at all with everything going on?
Nope. No,
Okay.
you're pretty strong right there, still
Good.
holding. A lot of people are still getting those.
It's good.
And then if you go to lease parking, we're about
What's that?
lease parking is
291.
$291. So we're at $2,000. And we'll see. I'm not sure how many people are going to continue on with lease parking.
That's
next year.
that's down here
Downtown,
in the big
yeah.
parking lot.
It's cheaper to buy lease parking than it is to get a ticket every week. So
I would think so.
Yeah, I would too.
then if you go to traffic fines, 321. You'll see that's at 6,000. That's going to be your parking tickets. And we continued on with that program. If you wanted to come in and contribute to canned good foods, that we would continue to bring that up to the high school food pantry as needed. And that's been a pretty good program. It's been a pretty good program.
Okay.
Court fees, 323. That would be what we recoup if officers go to court. Just not a lot. Then I get down to police department services, 602.
602. Okay.
Yeah, that's what we bill out for special details for like the University of Maine. You'll see that number's dropped off, just because we were filling so much of our own overtime for the last 2 years that we're dropped off on details elsewhere.
So did you help out? You guys help out with graduation and stuff?
We did. We actually physically directed traffic at that intersection because we still can't get into the traffic boxes because they don't have arc flash protection. That will draw 70,000 amps off the pole, that's what I was told. So we stay out of the boxes. So we did manual direction to officers. So Chief LaCroix called, thanked us today for it. I got court restitution, which is 705, our 705. That's going to be what we recoup for damages, any damages done to our equipment during arrests. Then if you go down through the bulletproof grant, that's an every other year type deal. Some years we need it, some years we don't. Bide grant, which we no longer do because we're not involved with Maine Drug Enforcement any longer. High visibility, $2,600 this year for high visibility. The DOJ, that's the school resource officer, that's the reimbursement from the federal government that we get. The Burn JAG grant, that actually just came in. So that's actually at $2,900 this year, just over $2,900. And then our OUI, $3,900 this year. That's what I had. I missed one.
So on the school officer, what's it going to be now? 43 increase?
Yeah, it's been a little bit screwed up over the last couple of years on how the Department of Justice bills out to us, but I've got it right here. It's
That's split, isn't that split?
split between us and the
RSU and then the.
yeah. So it's for 3 years when you average it out, it was $41,666.
Okay.
And then we used we split the, so that's per year, so it's like $124,000 or $125,000. And then we just had them add a 2% increase to what we billed out to them last year for the school department. So we base it on the lowest paid police officer with their benefits, divide it by 2, and then we added 2% to that this year because of contract negotiation, and then that's what the school will reimburse us. But for the federal government, it's supposed to be $41,666 a year, depending on, we didn't overlap because we didn't start right on that September date when
Okay.
we first got it, so we were a little bit behind. So
Okay.
that's where we're at right now.
Any questions for the chief? Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, so next one up is 635. is the fire department, Chief O'Malley, 2000, 2010, and 2020. Good evening, Chief.
Hello. How you doing, buddy?
So, 2000. Going back the other way, what page is that on?
20.
20. Alrighty, sir, anything?
No, I don't really have a lot in that. As you can see, the bottom line, there's not any, it's a zero. But the ones of note, if you look around, we move some money, that's all to more reflect what we actually spend, like, we moved some money out of gas, oil, lube, down to personal protective equipment. We didn't add any, we just put it in more appropriate places.
Right.
And that's pretty much it for there, and we add a little bit to testing and exams. We never have enough for that if we're sending guys to school, or girls to school.
Right.
And so pretty much we just moved, if anything, we moved money around, and then the rest of it is just contractual.
Okay.
Really, not a lot there.
The firemen, ambulance drivers, you have.
No such thing as an animal
Oh, I'm
driver,
sorry.
okay?
You're right.
The EMT paramedics.
I know
Yep. They take if I didn't correct
I
you,
don't blame
they didn't
them.
like
I
that.
would too. But highly qualified people seem to stay in the department for, let's say, some longevity, let's put it that way.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
We have
they
some-
like working for you?
Well, I hope so.
Oh, okay.
They like working for the city, so, I mean, they have a good job, they're proud of it, they do an excellent job, that's what they do the best.
agree.
The ambulance that we have, the services you have in Old Town, between all of the services. I'll just go off a limb a little bit here, between everybody.
Yeah,
I
agree.
think you get a good bang for your buck here in Old Town, all the way around, so, but I'm very proud of them, thank you, appreciate that.
Longevity is very important now that our police department with longevity certainly helps as far as knowing our community.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that immensely as a citizen.
We appreciate that too, because it is important to us. We like to try to keep our good employees, that's for sure. So I don't really have, other than the fire department, that's pretty much it.
Okay.
Unless you get any questions on that. And same thing on the ambulance, if you look down, we get a total of a 2, and that is just reflected in a couple of, mostly in the contractual items that are up top, and then, again, we moved items to more appropriately fit where the money's actually spent, right? Correct, Daniel? And Daniel and Miles were instrumental in this, so. pretty
Very
good
nice.
over there.
Okay.
And then the
hydrants.
last one, if you don't have any questions there, is just the fire hydrants and the fire,
Nope.
what's that?
We can't do anything about it.
No, you can't do anything about the fire hydrants. We're glad to have them. Actually, they were gonna go up a little bit higher this year. I can't remember the exact total. It doesn't really matter, but they came in at a reasonable 2% also, which is really good, so.
Good. How
can't
about your
argue with that.
revenue?
And then, as far as the revenues, we have good revenues, as you can say.
What's your numbers, Chief, here?
They're 599.
599.
599, 600, 601, and 603. So working in reverse, if you want, on the ambulance subsidy on 603, that's what we pay for the outlying towns that we cover. They give up per
Okay.
capita head,
Yeah.
which is, that's a good sum over there, as you see, 114.8. Fire department service, we've kind of rolled the burn and oil burn permits. As you see, there's not any revenue up there. We've rolled that into the fire department service, just called it that. And we'll probably, someday maybe Daniel will want to just get rid of the oil, because we've rolled it into one. What it is for any, get an online permit now, so that just rolls in. And then the big thing is the coverage, the contract we currently have with Penobscot Nation.
Okay.
So that's that. And then emergency vehicle services, what we net on the ambulance after all said and done, okay? So, which is a pretty good sum also. So you put those three together and you come up with slightly around $775,000, which is pretty good revenue.
Nice.
And then on the grants, currently we don't have any. We live on grants, though, as you people know. I've come for approval over the years for some of the grants. We hope to still get some. I was telling Miles and Danielle the other day during our, and the boss, Bill, during our budget discussions that unfortunately the farther we get away from 9/11, well, the fortunate we get away from 9/11, but for us, being the recipients of grants, a lot of that money was put out by the federal government after that, and they're pretty much drying up now, because, there was a lot of money spent. It was good for our infrastructure, but now it's tough. It's really, really competitive, so we're still actively pursuing them, but it's highly competitive, so if we're successful, we'll be back and let you know, so.
Perfect. Anything for the chief?
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Be your last time you two together.
Yeah, Miles is going to retire. I'm going to miss him. Miss him wicked, so. And welcome to Danielle. So.
Yes. Okay, what's our last thing? We got two more things. We got capital projects.
And the only capital projects we had were John's.
With John's?
So we've done it.
Okay, so we have one more thing. Thank you, everybody. That's a very good job tonight. It's 6:45. Very good. Very good. I had asked a while back for Bill to work with Miles and Danielle to do the, what's the sheet called again?
Tax.
Thank you. So they've done one. We decided to wait till the end of this because I thought if we pass out the beginning, we're going to be looking at that instead of listening to the department head. So he's going to, which I know us all very well. We probably paid more attention to that. So he's passing it around to see what it would be, certain percentages as far as increase, 3%, 4%, 5%. So they've gone through it. They've shown the different percentages and what it would take to take from reserves or somewhere else. And it's not bad at all, actually. Bill called me this afternoon and told me where we were at, and this is not bad at all. So Bill, you and Miles and Danielle take it from here, please.
Yeah, if you look down through the sheet, then you can follow along fairly easily here. Where your gross budget is at the top, the city, the school, that's a net budget that we receive from them. That's not the gross budget.
Okay. Just move it a little bit closer, boss. Thank you.
You get me now?
Can you hear him out there, everybody? Okay.
Speak and I'll tell you.
Okay.
There we go.
County tax, again, 627,000. TIF dollars are in this. You see the total appropriations. Revenues that we just got done talking about with each department. Homestead reimbursement, Betty reimbursement that we receive through the state. Our total revenue number, and then you see the adjusted to be raised from taxes. We call that unadjusted to be raised from taxes. Normally, we take money out of reserves without taking any money out of reserves, and you follow us all the way down through. What we just discussed tonight, if you didn't do that, would be a 6.7% increase. If you look down on the bottom, you follow that all the way down through. David had asked me to look at what would those increases look like to get to these. So as you get down through here and you start at the 6, if you wanted to drop it to 6%, you'd have to borrow $68,000 out of reserve accounts. If you wanted to have a 5% increase, it'd be $163,000. 4% would be $258,000, and 3% would be $353,000.
And I want to let you know that's an enhancement this year that we put those numbers on there, just for you.
Thank you. So basically, Bill passed this out to us, so this gives us time to think about this before the first reading, because at that point we're going to need to discuss all of us where we want this to go. But this is not as bad as what I thought this would be from the beginning. I thought we were going to look at 9% or higher. So coming in at 6.7 with everything that we talked about tonight is very good. I know we need to bring it down, but and correct me if I'm wrong, as far as reserves, we've already talked about that the TIF reserve is already being allocated already tonight.
Correct.
So that's already that's not even part of the discussion to borrow from.
Yeah, and the only other reserve that we touched was the $90,000 in the airport for a certain project.
Correct.
We haven't touched any others.
Right. So we have other reserves. We have fund balance. We all need to remember we do have that money coming in from PERC next year, over $700,000 from that. So there's a lot to think about between now and the first reading to bring this down. But I appreciate you guys putting this together, getting it for us, so it gives us time to think about that. Bill, anything else on what's on page 2 here?
No. And again, when we get to the June 5th reading, I mean, that first reading is required under your charter to do that. And that doesn't put you in a position where you have to
We don't have to
but
make a
you-
decision,
You don't
right.
have to make a decision on that first reading.
So this second page is what the reserve account balances are right now. Correct?
That's correct. And just make sure when you look at the airport hangar reserve, the 236,000, that does not have the 90,000 taken out of it.
It does not have the 90,000 taken out.
What is it with the 9,000?
90,000 out.
Yes, 90,000, and it's 03560 airport hangar reserve,
So that takes it down to what, 150?
roughly.
Yep.
Yeah, and the airport's difficult because grants stay open for long periods of time.
Right.
And so you can remember that we've done a is it Pappy's, I believe is the name of them. The lights turn red or green. Lance is a pilot, so he'd have to explain which is better on your glide slope. But one, you don't want it that color when you're coming in. When they redid the runways, the FAA is still working on those with the contractor to have them installed properly. And so they owe us about $155,000, which will go back into this hangar reserve.
So it's going to
But
offset that anyways.
But until the FAA is satisfied with the contractor that those are set correctly, they're holding our money.
Right.
But that is going to come back into that airport hangar reserve, so.
Okay.
If I can interject here, I'm not suggesting you do this, I'm just putting things out for you to think about. The 03510 Community Center Reserve, that's been on the books for years. And, that may be something you want to consider.
The 3510, so 28,500.
Yeah, that's sat there for years. And, it's something to think about. The 03520 Highway Block Grant, Bill could tell you more about that one, but that's part of that 75 we receive every year in our revenues from the state. And
That's not that TIF we're talking
I think that has to
about?
be dedicated to highways, but Bill could tell you better whether you could use that this year or not. And then the last one I'd mention, the Juniper Ridge Landfill Tipping Fee Reserve. That's back when we used to put those tipping fees in a reserve account. That number sat there for years as well. So those are 3 reserve accounts that you might want to consider doing away with.
Well, we're also considering the economic development reserve too, that 115,000, putting it into the LLC. So.
Right, that would be gone if we decide to do that.
Yeah.
That would be gone.
Well,
but
you have those 2 reserve accounts, but in the actual operational budget, there's a carry forward number of around $100,000 in contracted services. So what I was suggesting is the LLC looks each year to somehow get money back into these reserves. My suggestion was to take that $100,000 that's rolled over each year
From
under
the
that
other account.
Okay,
0299. take
so
it
it's
out.
not out
It's
of
not this
account.
one. It's not this one.
Gotcha,
Yep,
all right.
yep, and put it
For
in.
some reason, it was just a number that looked like the same
Right.
number that.
No,
was
I
in the
agree.
LLC.
I agree. And I think still too that, as I mentioned, Miles and Bill, I talked before that we do have that PERC monies coming next spring. So we can consider some of that, which would do a couple years, and we're gonna know some news about down the street here fairly quick, probably even before the first reading. So just gonna take all this information in over the next couple weeks and see where we land.
While we're here, just for one more minute, we have the sewer reserve balances. We've never really touched those, and I don't suggest that we do. But the first one you notice is a negative number, which really means it's a deficit. Some of the sewer income that comes in every quarter gets allocated to these reserves, and as you know, since we weren't raising rates, we started running into a deficit. Hopefully that will build back up as the rate increases continue in.
So this is where they were taken from, is from this area?
Yeah.
To help offset the budget, okay.
So you're feeling, unless we were told otherwise, some of the money that we could get, we could take from the highway block grant, we could take from the community center reserve, and from the Juniper landfill tipping fees. Those 3 accounts, do you believe that we can help with the tax burden with that? By putting that
I would
towards
look
the
at that, but that's really your decision.
Well, I know it is, but I just want to make sure that, because the block grant, when I hear highway block grant reserve, I just get a little worried as to what the purpose of that grant was for and whether or not we could use it.
Right, and I suggest you talk to Bill on that. I'm not 100% sure, but
I mean, we might
There was
be
a
able
lot
to
more,
allocate it.
yeah, when there was a lot more dollars around in grants, like those MPI grants that John applied for. Typically, over time, that $75,000 comes into us every year. They'd use that to use that as a match
That's what I was
against some of
wondering.
those grants.
So we could use that as the match for the.
That's something to consider. Yep.
it might be an option. We might have to find out the answer to that.
That makes sense if we could do that with our budget. That would certainly help.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you very much for doing this. Appreciate it. And we will be discussing this at our first public reading, which, what's the date on that?
June 5th.
June 5th? Monday, June 5th. Okay, so by then we'll know something. And we'll go from there to see which direction we want to head into. So make sure we hold on to these and have your thoughts ready to go for that first meeting to discuss things. Bill, anything else tonight?
No, certainly, as always, if you have questions between now and then, send me an email and I'll get you an answer before we get there.
Okay. Miles, we good?
Good.
Okay.
I want to thank the council. Been here 9 years. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. We appreciate everything you've done. Patty, we good? Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn? Okay. So we got Jan, we got Linda, all in favor? None opposed, 6:52 PM. Nice job, everybody.